Isekai.
Rebirth of the Malicious Empress of Military Lineage. Chapter 85, The Day of Marriage. Time quickly passed like it was flying by, and in a twinkling of an eye it was the 8th day of the 12th lunar month. On the 8th day of the 12th lunar month, it was an auspicious day and was good to go get married, and it was the day the long-widowed Prince Yu to marry a Wangfei. After Prince Yu had been widowed for so many years, the residence of Prince Yu is finally welcoming a new mistress. However, everyone was well aware that this was not something to be happy about. Just like the previous Prince Yu's Wangfei, who could know when will the happy occasion become a funeral. The target that was marrying into Prince Yu residence is the Shan family's daughter of the second household in the capital. There were 3 daughters in the formidable great general residence. Shen Miao was famous for being an idiot. Shen Yu's talented reputation was well known, and Shen King was considered to be beautiful, generous and capable, and this last such good female was going to get married to Prince Yu kind of person. This made others unable to bear but to let a sigh go. That Shen Gui has gone crazy. There was someone who was speaking softly in the crowd that was looking at the commotion. Is not this watching one's daughter jumping into the fire pit? This is sinful. What do you know? Another person disapproved. I heard from my official Biao older brother, that this eldest Shen young lady had illicit sexual relations with Prince Yu and is already pregnant. If it was not because that is a royal flesh and blood, she would be drowned. Ah, what you said is real. The surrounding people heard that, and all of them were surprised as they did not know about this before. That person shook his head proudly. It is so. Heard that during the returning banquet in the palace, hundreds of civil and military officials had witnessed it, and heard that this Shen family eldest young lady was not pitiful at all and brought trouble to herself. Indeed, if it is like this, to be pregnant before marriage, this offend the public morals. Really, does this not know what shame is? How did the Shen family's second household taught such a daughter that harmed General Shen's noble and benevolent character? Really, she is humiliating the family status. What does this got to do with General Shen? General Shen is not in the Ding capital all year, and even his daughter was raised by the 2 other households. Everyone's lively discussion and comments were diverse, and all the conversation were words of despise for Shen King. From the initial sympathy to the later spitting and cursing, seemed to have passed only a short moment of time. Even Shen Gui's and Ren Wan Yun's bones were picked. That person who initially said that Shen King was pregnant, only quietly smiled and disappeared into the crowd. In the Shen residence, the matchmaker was putting makeup on Shen King. Ren Wan Yun stood behind Shen King and tightly twisted the handkerchief in her hands and could not wait to shred it into pieces. She raised her daughter up well, but now had to watch as Shen King jumped into the fire pit. No mother would not love their own daughter unto Ren Wan Yun. Everything that had happened felt like someone cutting into her flesh with a knife. What was different was that Shen King did not have such strong emotions as Ren Wan Yun. She sat quietly at the seat and let the matchmaker move around, and that matchmaker smiled and said, "Eldest young lady, this old one will thread one's face. Face threading is somewhat painful. Eldest young lady must tolerate, and after it, one will be able to be a beautiful bride." It was still alright if these words were not said, but when these words were said, Ren Wan Yun only felt pain in her heart and she almost fainted. Shen King only looked woodenly at herself in the bronze mirror. If it was not for her blinking eyes, one would think that she was a corpse. The matchmaker also grew apprehensive towards Shen King's expression as she took a thin cotton thread from a box and started threading. This face threading made one's face fair and clean, but it was very painful, and normally a noble young lady would delicately cry out with some pain. But when they were doing the threading, Shen King was still expressionless as if she was dead. Ren Wan Yun could not help but shed tears when the matchmaker saw such a scene, of the bride not having the joy of being won, but her whole body was filled with despair. She understood a little in her heart. She did not say any auspicious words and quickly put Shen King's makeup on and found an excuse to depart. Only Ren Wan Yun and Shen King were left in the room with a few maids. Ren Wan Yun's tears could not stop. It was only a short few months, but she has aged so much that she had now the looks like those of an older woman. Her face was much older and her white hairs have increased. How could one see that previous plump gorgeously wearingly smart lady? Mother, do not worry. It was Shen Qing who spoke first. Her voice was hoarse and it sounded strange. She seemed to cry yet as if she was laughing. Today what I have suffered would not be in vain. I will take revenge myself. King mother let you down. Ren Wanyan went up and hugged her. Shen Qing woodenly let her mother hug her and said in a hoarse voice, "Father and mother cannot help, but even so I will take my own revenge." Her tone was gloomy, but that burst of grievances could be felt by everyone. Shen Gui looking on coldly by the side, Ren Wanyan's apprehension, their inability to face up to Shen Qing's marriage, and finally Shen Qing hate of her own parents. It was like a strike of lightning for Ren Wanyan to be hated by her own daughter. But she knew how the matter came to this step, and it was not necessarily without her reasons. If she had not schemed against Shen Miao in the beginning, if she went out and took a look in Wolong Temple, or perhaps if she had not written to Prince Yu about the wrong person, perhaps then Shen Qing would not have fallen into such a desperate situation like now. She reluctantly smiled. King must not be afraid. Mother swear to definitely take revenge for you. And your second older brother would definitely not let that little slut off. In the big hall of the Shen residence, old Shen Furen's expression was serious as she sat on the seat in the middle, and Shen Yuanbo was half laying in her arms as if he feared old Shen Furen's ruthless expression and obediently dared not move. "Make what up?" Old Shen Furen said. "After doing such a shameless thing, she still have face to increase the trousseau. Number 2, you have raised a good daughter." Old Shen Furen was vain and superficial and loved to have face outside. This time what happened to Shen Qing could not be hidden from her, and knowing that all the civil and military officials were aware of Shen Qing's shameful deed, old Shen Furen felt that her old face was lost and naturally hated Shen Qing and her mother. Shen Gui quickly consented and could not wait to divorce Ren Wanyan on the spot. Shen Kaiyu expression upon hearing this was weird, seemingly like he wanted to laugh. Most likely old Shen Furen herself had forgotten that she was originally a songstress. And speaking of which, how much better could she be comparing to Shen Qing? She really thought that she was an unmarried daughter of a noble house who was as clear as ice and as clean as jade. Xin Wan did not make any sound, and Chen Rikayu would not take the initiative to attack when old Shen Furen was that angry. As for Xin Xin and Luo Zuyan, they stood largely on the spot as if they had not heard old Shen Furen's words. Old Shen Furen finished throwing out her temper. "The dowry cannot be too much. This kind of daughter is not worth my Shen family's money." When such words were spoken, Luo Zuyan had a layer of contempt in her eyes. Old Shen Furen was most biased against eldest household, and even if one valued males and belittled females, but Shen Qing grew up under Shen Old Furen. One obviously knew that Shen Qing's marriage into Prince Yu's residence was a tragic start. By giving more money perhaps Shen Qing could live more comfortable, but one did not think that old Shen Furen would be so stingy to that level and be that ruthless. Indeed, a female born from the lowest level that could not be seen in public. Shen Gui agreed. He had always had the attitude of a filial son, and old Shen Furen, upon seeing him obedient, her expression was much warmer. When her eyes fell onto Shen Xin, she was about to say something when suddenly Shen Yu exclaimed, "Second older brother." Everyone looked at the direction of Shen Yu's eyes, and there from the door walked in a young male, wearing a stone green long robe. This male looked upright and upon closer inspection, looked a 6th or 7th similar to Shen Hu, but there was a touch of pride in his brows. This was not anyone else but the Shen family's second household's eldest son, Shen Yuan. In the second household, Shen Yuan was naturally clever and quick-witted, compared to Shen Kaiyu's military power where each step all depended on himself. Shen Yuan depended on his genius. Since young, he would score the top ranks in the exams and afterwards had the attention of nobility and went into a career in court. But previously, he had to be posted for 3 years in the outskirts for training purposes, and this year was the last, and he would be an official in the Ding capital after the year ends. Who knew that Shen Qing would fall into a mishap, and it seemed that he rushed back so that he could see the day his younger sister married off. Even Shen Yu could not help but hid behind Shen Wan. Shen Wan patted Shi Yu's back as his eyes fell onto Shen Yuan. Towards Shen Yuan, there were a number of people in the Shen residence that were somewhat afraid of him. Perhaps it was that Shen Yuan had fame at such a young age, or from one's intuition one felt that he had deep thoughts even though he was young. In short, Shen Yu and the previous Shen Miao were all very afraid of him. The happiest person was no other than old Shen Furen. She waved her hands to Shen Yuan in pleasant surprise. Yuaner. Shen Yuan bo in old Shen Furen's embrace also called out crisply, "Second older brother." Shen Yuan then only smiled and gave old Shen Furen a greeting, "Grandmother." Then he touched Shen Yuan bo's head. Yuan bo grew taller again, afraid that Yuan boy has rushed back. Chen Rikyu smiled, "The journey must be tiring, why not take a rest first?" Now that Ren Wanyan is not here, she was the one managing the Shen residence, so naturally she had a matriarch appearance on. Shen Yuan turned around and glanced at Chen Rikyu. She did not know why, but Chen Rikyu had a sinking feeling and spontaneous fear. After a year of not seeing, Shen Yuan became one that was unable to see through. Chen Rikyu was naturally smart, and when the children were young, she had secretly tripped Shen Yuan, but he was unexpectedly smart, and much later, it was Chen Rikyu that suffered. Chen Rikyu thought that Ren Wanyan was lucky to be able to give birth to a clever son, so even if one were to be dissatisfied with the second household, Chen Rikyu did not dare to completely annoy the other. "No need," Shen Yuan said. "I return this time is just to see my younger sister get married. If one rest then it would be too late." Speaking of Shen King, the atmosphere became a little awkward and old Shen Furen did not delve into it. Shen Yuan also did not move, as his eyes almost did not hesitate to look over to the person standing next to Shen Kyu, Shen Miao. Not seeing for a long time, fifth younger sister has also changed a lot. He narrowed his eyes. Indeed, females changes 18 times between childhood and womanhood. Fifth younger sister changed so much that I somewhat cannot recognize. Shen Miao calmly looked at him. Shen Yuan's eyes were probing sinisterly, as if they were a poisonous snake slithering in the marsh and tightly wrapping around that made one feel crept out. She smiled lightly. Second older brother stayed the same as always. Chen Rikyu's eyes paused. Shen Yu was somewhat rejoicing at another's misfortune, and Shen Xin and Luo Zuyan coincidentally frowned at the same time. But Shen Kyu smiled as he continued the conversation. "Exactly, second younger brother, looks like there is no change." He led the conversation to him, and it provoked Shen Yuan to look at Shen Kyu as he said meaningfully, "Did not think that now fifth younger sister's and eldest brother's relationship is actually this good. Since it's real siblings, so feelings are naturally good." Shen Miao smiled warmly. "If second older brother go down to see eldest sister, perhaps one can catch her before her makeup." Shen Yuan looked at Shen Miao deeply and smiled. "Yes, I will go now." Having said that, he bowed to old Shen Furen. "Grandmother, I will go and take a look at younger sister first. I as an older brother is not by younger sister's side, and now she is to get married today. One is not sure if she would be bullied in the future and could only speak a few words to her, so this one will leave first." Finishing, he turned around and quickly left without looking at anyone. From the beginning to the end, not a word was said to Shen Gui. In the past, even though Shen Gui's and Shen Yuan's relationship was not particularly close, but they were after all father and son, and Shen Gui highly regarded Shen Yuan, so he took more care of him, and Shen Yuan also treated Shen Gui with respect. There was obviously some problems with today's attitude. Shen Gui was livid as he clenched his fists. Old Shen Furen gazed at him with a complicated look and also felt something stuffed in her heart, so she waved her hands. "Support me back to the room." Old Shen Furen did not plan to go to the wedding banquet tonight. To what old Shen Furen sees, those who were invited to participate in the wedding banquet were high-ranking or nobles, so they would have known the ins and outs of this marriage. To throw such an old face of hers away, it would impact her fortune, so she let Zhang Mama support her back to the room at that moment. After old Shen Furen left, It was somewhat awkward in the hall. Shen Yu looked at Shen Miao and asked, "Fifth younger sister, what did you gift eldest sister as part of her dowry?" "Just some jewelry only," Shen Miao lightly said. Shen Yu replied with a no. Seeing that she had a cannot be bothered look, although she was angry in her heart, she dared not show it in front of Shinzin and couple and quietly stood by Chenrikayu's side. Shin Wan looked towards Shenzin, "Eldest brother, now that Yuan has returned, what is next?" "What does Yuan boy got to do with me?" Shinzin said puzzled. "I cannot control my own Zhao Zhao and Caillou boy, but I need to manage number 2's son." "Number 3, your third household has less people, so if there is nothing the matter then you should also help number 2, after all you are all real brothers." He spoke with meaningful and heartfelt words. Shenzin was one that looked straightforward and honest, but the words he spoke were like poisonous snakes. This could be seen by the Marquis of Linen, Ziding, who he had not spoken properly for decades. When he said those words, Shen Wan had yet to respond, but Chenrikayou was so angry that her nails were embedded into her palms. Everyone knew that the third household had a thin line, and Chenrikayou, other than given birth to Shen Yu, there were no sons at all. Even though it was said that Shen Wan had deep feelings towards Chenrikayou, but old Shen Furan had already wanted to give concubines to Shen Wan numerous times because of Chenrikayu's lack of pregnancy. Shenzin was poking knives into Chenrikayu's heart. "Yes, Di Zaifu, aka younger brother-in-law's wife." Luo Zuyan also smiled as she spoke. "Do not keep worrying about other families' matter. One know that both of you are kind, but it is also time for you to think about your own matters. You girl is already so grown up, in future when she get married there would not be any brothers to help out. It would be considered as lacking." Shin Miao's eyes were stirring with laughter. Shinzin and Luo Zuyan were not experts at the battles in the courtyards, but their battlefield experience made them feel more sensitive and intuitive toward others. Shin Wan and couple wanted to sow discord but were swallowed by Shenzin and Luo Zuyan in the mix. "Younger sister, let's go and take a look at eldest younger sister." Shen Caillou patted Shen Miao's shoulder. "Your makeup is still at my place." Shen Miao knew that Shen Caillou had something to say to her, so she nodded her head and greeted a few people before heading to the western courtyard with Shen Caillou. "Younger sister, Shen Yuan is hostile to you," Shen Caillou said. "I know. It is possible he is aware of the root cause of the matter." Shen Caillou was somewhat anxious. He is one who loves to act behind the scenes and is quite scheming. One fear that he would take revenge for Shen King and would think of ways to harm you. "These days you should stay in the residence and not go out." Shen Caillou had a kind of natural hostility to Shen Yuan, and it was something that had unknown reasons. In fact, there were no quarrels or fights between Shen Yuan and Shen Caillou. But Shen Caillou just found that Shen Yuan not pleasing to his eyes. Perhaps there were people born that were archenemies. "Eldest brother, if he truly want to harm me, no matter how well I hide, he will still find a way. Moreover, what can he do?" "Rest assured, since he is a cautious person, he would not casually find someone to kill me and would come up with some plans." Talking about schemes, who could compare with her who had died once before? "Younger sister, you are still young and do not understand how dangerous some things are." Shen Caillou was more anxious. "Shen Yuan is not a good person. If you are this careless, you will suffer." "Rest assured, eldest brother." Shin Miao looked at Shen Caillou. "Counter soldiers with arms, and water with an earthware. If there is really anything, is not there still eldest brother?" She coldly smiled, but there were words in her heart that she did not say to Shen Caillou. Shen Caillou's death in the previous life was definitely not an accident. She did not know if it was either the second or the third household, but not one of these people would escape. Even if Shen Yuan did not take action on her, she would not let Shen Yuan live well. This could be considered as paying the debt from the previous life. In Qian Yuan of the eastern courtyard, when Renwan Yun saw Shen Yuan, she went up to hug Shen Yuan and burst into tears. These days she was alone in fear and felt helpless, and finally everything burst out when she saw Shen Yuan. Renwan Yun was so shocked up that she could not say a single word, and even Shan King, who was already like a wooden puppet when she saw Shen Yuan, her eyes filled with despair, had a glimmer of color. Shen Yuan comforted Ren Wan Yun for a while before coming forward to touch Shen King's head. Shen King tolerated before finally started bawling and said between cries, "Second older brother, why did you not return earlier?" When Ren Wan Yun saw Shen King cry, she also cried. For a moment, the room was shaking in cries, and one would have thought that it was a funeral and not a happy event. A flash of haze appeared in Shen Yuan's eyes. He grew up in the general residence, and although the most powerful in the general residence was the Shinzin couple, but to him, those two people only knew how to fight, and the children they had were all fools, and all of them were easily played in the hands of their second household. As for his mother and younger sister, they have always been elegant and noble. By contrast, that Shen Miao was like a country bumpkin who was from a small family. And now, that household of fools actually forced Ren Wan Yun and Shen King to this point. This was undoubtedly provocative to Shen Yuan. Ren Wan Yun explained the context of things clearly in the letters to him and in Shen Yuan's view. Even though Ren Wan Yun's plans were not perfect, but for Shen Miao to fight back and even escape without harm was actually a surprise to his expectations. "Mother must not cry." Shen Yuan's expression was somewhat emotionally moved as he said, "Crying is to no avail." "Yuan boy." Ren Wan Yun clutched his hand, "You have the most ideas, you must be able to save your sister, right?" Hearing this, Shen King also looked towards Shen Yuan with hope. "Second older brother, begging you to help me. I do not wish to marry to that person. I should not be marrying to him. Second older brother, help me, help me." Even though Shen King was somewhat fearful of her older brother, but since young when she was bullied, Shen Yuan would quietly help her to win it back. Towards Shen Yuan, Shen King loved and hated, but now Shen Yuan was her life-saving straw, so naturally she will grab on to furiously. "Not possible." Shen Yuan's calm expression was almost cold. "The matter of marriage has no possibility of a turn at this point, and one cannot do harm to everybody because of younger sister. So younger sister must go through this marriage." As the voice finished speaking, Shen King fell onto the ground paralyzed and finally cried out desperately. Her action destroyed her makeup and dirt were all over her, but she had not noticed it at all. "Really no other way?" Ren Wan Yun murmured, "Even though there is no way to get out of this marriage, but my Shen Yuan's younger sister cannot just take this kind of calculation from others without laying down." Shen Yuan coldly said, "For Shen Miao to become so smart overnight, there should be someone behind guiding, else it is that she had faked it all along. It is better to settle if there was someone guiding, but if she faked it for 10 over years, it is truly too scary." That little slut seemed to be possessed. Seeing that she escaped when the matter was about to succeed, "You honor, that little slut cannot remain." Ren Wan Yun gritted her teeth and said, "Thinking about that, everything today was caused by that slut. I could not wait to eat her flesh and drink her blood." Mother now cannot deal with her unbridled because of eldest Bo's family. Heard that eldest Bo will be staying in the capital for half a year more. Like this Shen Miao have a longer period of backing. Shen Yuan looked at Shen King. Ren Wan Yun trembled, "But one cannot just let the matter go like that." "Of course not." Shen Yuan said, "In this world, there would always be a day where the backing will fall, no matter how big it is. Since Shen Miao have backing, then let her backing fall. It is good for eldest Bo's family to stay in the Ding capital." A smile floated on Shen Yuan's lips. "Saves me the trouble to find each one." Ren Wan Yun was somewhat fearful in her heart unknowingly, but seeing the fallen Shen King, a wave of anger immediate raised up. "You honor, must not let that little slut off." "Rest assured." Shen Yuan's eyes were gloomy. "Whoever dare to play under my eyes, I will return it with thanks." Since Shen Miao harmed mother and younger sister, I will let their Shen family first household pay and leave Shen Miao for the last and play with her slowly. "That is then interesting." He leisurely smiled. Shen King's bridal makeup had to be redrawn at the end. The matchmaker was surprised to find out that during this makeup, Shan Qing's expression was a little energetic as compared to the just deadly heavy semblance she had previously. At least it looks like she was alive. When Shen Yu and Shen Miao came over to send the gifts, Shen Qing even smiled at both of them. Now that Shen Qing was pregnant, her body was somewhat swollen, and coupled with her anxiousness these days, she looked haggard even upon putting makeup. Her smile did not showcase a young female's delicateness but looked somewhat weird and scary. Eldest sister must take care of yourself. Shen Yu's eyes were red as she spoke. Definitely. Shen Qing concurred before looking at Shen Miao and coughed. I will definitely return fifth younger sister's benevolence to me. Even though it was said with a smile, the hate and viciousness made Shen Yu shudder. I will wait. Shen Miao also smiled lightly. Afterwards things became much natural. Old Shen Furen avoided meeting Shen Qing, and Shen Qing could only talk to Ren Wanyan. Because this marriage was not considered a glorious thing, everyone in the Shen residence felt embarrassed. Those festive actions and wishes were all done carelessly. At the end, when going to the wedding sedan, it was Shen Yuan who carried Shen Qing up the sedan. The thing that made one felt most embarrassed was that Prince Yu of the first rank did not came to fetch the bride and only sent a housekeeper ahead. When Shen Yuan was carrying Shen Qing, the commoners around the general residence were all pointing fingers of blame at them, and there were all sorts of stuff that were spreading among them. Some mentioned that Shen Qing had no sense of shame and was fickle. Even if Ren Wanyan's and Shen Yuan's hearts were filled with anger, public clamor could obscure the truth and they could not kill all the commoners. When the sedan finally left, Shen Yuan returned to the main doors of the Shen residence and stood by Shen Miao and spoke as he looked at the leaving sedan. Fifth younger sister, look calm. The person marrying is not me, why would I not be calm? Shen Miao answered. Fifth younger sister, know how the future will be like when King marries over. How the future will be is not what you and me can decide. Shen Yuan seemed not to have heard Shen Miao's words and only minded his words. The events in the world are ever changing. Sometimes there is no room to advance or retreat. But one do not know if the willow trees would make shade and the flowers would give light. There are times when even though there is an optimistic road in front, but one cannot say preciously. His voice suddenly deepened. It is that one had forced themselves to the dead end. Exactly. Shen Miao smiled. No one can say for sure what will happen in the world. Some people may have the luck of misfortune, but it could be that there is no more road in front. Shen Yuan finally turned his head over and looked at Shen Miao directly. His eyes sized her up, which made others especially uncomfortable, and the things others were uncomfortable were also his words. He said, I only found out today that fifth younger sister is actually a smart person. Shen Miao declined to comment but heard a roar from behind. Younger sister. Shen Qiu ran over in a hurry and looked warningly at Shen Yuan before saying to Shen Miao, younger sister should not run around, there are so many evildoers outside. Knowing a person but not understand one's true nature, who knows what would happen. Shen Yuan glanced at Shen Qiu before laughing. Eldest brother really know how to joke. What's more, fifth younger sister is so smart that one fear that no one will be able to scheme her. As for the phrase of knowing a person but not understanding one's true nature, perhaps there is someone else more suitable for it. Shen Qiu sneered. My younger sister has a pure and virtuous natural disposition which cannot be compared to those sinister villains. I as an older brother naturally would need to constantly worry. Else those wolves who studies would eat her whole and there would be nowhere to cry to. Younger sister, let's go. We will sit the horse carriage to the residence of the prince of first rank. The Shen family people also had to go to the prince of first rank residence to participate in the wedding banquet, but Shen Qiu's words' real meaning was that he distrusted Shen Yuan. Shen Yuan looked at the back view of the two siblings and a flash of viciousness appeared in his eyes. The Shen family wedding sedan had to travel over half of the city of Ding capital and it was going along the most flourishing of streets. After all, this was a marriage that was bestowed by the Empress, so the parade was naturally extravagant. Even though every knew that this marriage was not glorious, but one still had to beat the drums and strike the gongs to make it well known. In the most wealthy section of the road, at the seat by the window of Guai Huolu, A white-clad gentleman was there as usually, slightly moving his folding fan as he watched the commotion at the wedding entourage. The entourage was throwing coins as they walked, and those commoners who were watching the commotion all went up to snatch for them, so it seemed to be filled with jubilation. However, what kind of feeling there was, only the person in the sedan knew. This marriage of the Shan family is really quite big. Jiyushu played with the silver in his hands as he said, I have not seen for a long time such a lively marriage. Do not know in the future when I marry young lady Xiao Yao, will it be such a grand occasion. Still thinking about that young lady Xiao Yao of yours? Jiao Yang looked at him. Yushu, I remember you still have a fiancé. Does that fiancé of yours know how particularly attentive you are to young lady Xiao Yao? Already said that was a joke made when we were babies. Who know how she look like now? I am not going to marry. I just love young lady Xiao Yao. If young lady Xiao Yao is not possible, then the fifth young lady of the Shan family is also not bad. He laughed and looked towards the person opposite. Third older brother Z, is it right? Zi Jingxing glanced at him and was too lazy to speak. Jiao Yang laughed out. One fear that you have no life to marry Shen Miao. What? Do not say a female like a killing demon. I valued her intelligence, sharpness and courage greatly. Jiyushu was not convinced. Besides, she also looks not bad. Heard that previously she liked that boy, Prince Ting, before. How can a young lady eyes be bad? Prince Ting can be compared to me? Jiao Yang looked at Jiyushu. You are capable, but this Shen young lady of yours will be in trouble quickly. What kind of trouble? Jiyushu asked. Shen King's older brother, Shen Yuan, has returned. Jiao Yang said with some rejection at others' misfortune. Shen Miao swindled Shen King into the prince's residence. Shen Yuan will definitely not let Shen Miao off. This Shen Yuan is not an oil-saving lamp. In the second household of the general residence, one fear that even Shen Gui cannot be compared to Shen Yuan for being circumspect and foreseeing. Moreover, this Shen Yuan is vicious and merciless, and when he takes action, he would never waver. Shen Yuan seems like not an ordinary person. Jiyushu suddenly remembers something. Is he not Fu Ziyuyi's people? Only a small little bandit. Zi Jingxing suddenly spoken and lazily glanced below. A little clown jumping around can attract your attention. Ha, you are still this arrogant? Jiao Yang asked. What is next? Wait for people to start the game and then plug